The number of employees is it 16?
13, 12 or 13 firefighters to get us to the 45.
12 or 13, but there are also 3 people in TIF.
Yes.
And how many other employees?
And 2 positions that we will not fill. So that will be about 18 positions.
18 total positions.
Can you go through that again? You said how many firefighters?
Well, actually, the number of firefighters will be reduced from 58 down to 45. So that's 13 positions in the fire department. You have 3 positions in the TIF department. You have 2 other positions, one in regulatory affairs and one in the personnel office, that are being eliminated, that were right now not filled. And did we also eliminate someone in the finance department?
No.
We did not. Okay, so we have a total of 18 total positions at this time.
I thought 16. Am I wrong?
No, this 13 plus 2 plus 3.
Okay, you're right. I'm wrong this time.
Okay. Other questions from members of the media?
Have you researched that use of TIF funds? Is that legally acceptable to use TIF funds?
We believe that it's legally acceptable. We recognize that it's not a normal use of TIF funds. It is something that the Financial Advisory Authority will have to weigh in on and help determine, based upon its legal staff, if it is a legal use of TIF. It's simply borrowing from the TIF, and we plan to pay the TIF back. It's city money. Yes, sir.
Some of the firefighters volunteer to work without pay to avoid layoffs. Can you do that?
That's something that we would have to look into. You have to look into labor laws that might be actually put aside, or labor laws that you have to say this is something that might violate a labor law. So that's something we would have to look into.
But you are going to look into that.
That's something that we will look into. It is not our intention to develop a volunteer fire department. It is our intention to continue with a fully paid fire department for the city of East St. Louis.
How much money are we talking about in those 18 positions that are going to be laid off?
If you look and say the average person costs the city roughly $60,000, you take the 18, multiply by 60, and you end up with about $1.08 million annually. That's annually, though. It's harder to make that kind of an adjustment when you're making it so late in the fiscal year. That's one of the biggest challenges at this time, the fact that you're making it late in the fiscal year.
Well, how come you wait?
Erica?
When are the layoffs effective? Today, tomorrow,
No,
next week?
right, the layoffs would become effective October 1st because the Financial Advisory Authority has to approve it at their September 26th board meeting.
Where? How come you waited till like 3 or 4 months before the end of the year to make these layoffs?
We were looking at all kinds of alternatives, but the fact of the matter is these are not easy decisions. There was a lot of back and forth deliberation with the Financial Advisory Authority, including by the 3 who were with me, lots of deliberation from the members of the City Council on how we could make these kinds of adjustments and have as little negative impact to the operation of the city that the citizens actually are looking for, but also try to minimize the negative impact that you have on staff. It's not something that you want to do and walk in and tell staff we're laying off 18 people. 18 people will now be negatively impacted with their house notes, their families, and other responsibilities that they and we all have.
Are the layoffs based on seniority or
The layoffs, for the most part, will be based upon seniority, but it's also based upon functionality that the city felt we may be able to do without. Of course, let me say real quickly, the last thing that you ever want to do is to lay off a policeman or fireman, because they're impacting the public safety. They're impacting the public health. So that there's a major sacrifice there. You're talking about going from 4 firehouses being open to 3 being open. And of course, Chief Benoit and his staff will have to look and say, where are the best places to have those 3 firehouses now, not 4.
So aren't you really kind of concerned about what's going to happen by closing a firehouse, laying off 13 firefighters?
It's a very negative situation. That's why I've asked the fire officers, including the president of the union, to stick around and actually see and hear what we're saying today. This is the last choice that we wanted to make. There's nothing positive about laying off firefighters. There's an argument that can be made that we need 5 firehouses open, not just 3. There's an argument that you could make. But the thing that you have to come back to is you cannot spend what you don't have. You have to operate in a fiscally responsible way.
How many firefighters do you currently have per shift, and how will that switch with these changes?
I'm going to defer to our fire chief, William Fenoy, to tell you how much we have per shift. Typically, we have 12 officers per shift that are within the 4 firehouses, along with an assistant chief who's usually on duty, and many times the chief of fire is on duty himself. But you have 3 people in each one of 4 different firehouses. It's now looking like it's going to be 3 people in 3 firehouses for a total of 9 people on a shift.
So you're essentially getting rid of a shift, 12 people.
Well, you're essentially getting rid of a firehouse. We'll just use that as an example. The firehouse that's at 17th and Lincoln Avenue will probably close, and you will have 27th and State Street, 72nd and State Street, 17th and Central probably open. Of course, that's Chief Fenoy's decision to ultimately make. How do you cover the city with 3 firehouses that can be open? That's a very tough decision.
Have all the affected individuals been notified? Do they know that they may be losing their job?
Yes, we did have a staff-only meeting right before this press conference to make sure that everyone understood what the city is actually doing at this time. And there will be further discussions from the city manager with the fire chief and all the other affected departments so that everyone can understand, here's what is taking place, here's why it's taking place, here's how individuals may be coming back. We use the fire department as an example. One of the things that we recognize is that some of the individuals who are in the fire department are actually pretty close to retirement. Once they retire, some of those laid off officers may be able to come back and fill those retiree spots. But as of right now, it will be 58 going to 45.
City manager, are there furloughs still scheduled?
No, the furlough has been canceled.
Okay.
Sir, why no police officers?
If you probably recall that back in April, we had the dubious task of laying off 7 police officers. One of those officers has now been brought back with the anticipation of bringing back 3 more because of a grant that the city is in the process of receiving. We're simply waiting for the final notification from the federal government with 3 more to come behind them. The thing that we recognize at this point is that crime in